Today, I'm going to take you on a road trip south of the border. See, a lot of people have asked me in the comment section to talk about an English town that actually belongs to Scotland. And today, I'm going to do just that. So if you're interested in the people, places and events in Scottish history, then click the subscribe button at the bottom right of the screen. In the meantime, let me tell you a story. We've just crossed the Scotland-England border. I'll be honest, I don't feel any different. But I know that every time I travel in the other direction, when I cross that border, my heart and my spirit lifts somehow. Now, some people tell me that there's a place in England where my heart and spirit should lift in exactly the same way. So to find out, I'm going to take you back in time and we're going to visit a castle. I'm spending the night in Cumbria before I head further south tomorrow to that English town that belongs to Scotland. And this is the perfect place to stop. I'm spending the night in Appleby Castle Hotel, not just because it's a convenient distance to break the journey, but because it also relates to our story. This area has sometimes been under Scots control, sometimes English control. The castle itself has changed hands too. It was granted by a Scottish king to the Norman knight Hugh de Morville, and de Morville's son was one of those knights who rid Henry II of his troublesome priest by killing Thomas Becket at the altar. William the Lion took the castle unopposed and then lost it, and pretty much the rest of Scotland. I've actually got a couple of videos about that if you want more detail. Let's see what it's like.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Now, you might be thinking I'm doing pretty well for myself if I can afford to stay in a castle like this. But number one, it's just too conveniently positioned and relevant to the story not to stay here. More importantly, you can get a room within my budget so long as you take a bedroom at the top of the tower. They tell me there are ghosts. Wish me luck. I slept like a king. Stephen King. Now, Appleby Castle is based around this Norman keep, which was built in 1170. The 12th century Normans were not only significant to Scotland, but to this particular story. They may have had a wee bit of influence in England as well. If you were to draw a Venn diagram that brought together subsets of Celtic, Anglo-Saxon, Scottish, English and Norman, there would be one guy more than anyone else that represented the intersection of all those sets. That would be King David I of Scotland. David's dad had been Malcolm, the Gallic king who defeated Macbeth. David's mum was Queen, later Saint Margaret, the Anglo-Saxon princess of the Atheling royal line. That line had been ousted by William the Conqueror in 1066. David's sister married the son of William the Conqueror, Henry I of England. Now, marrying a daughter of the previous Saxon house would give Henry I and his offspring more legitimacy. Now remember, this was a period of huge change in these islands, with an ethno-political metamorphosis changing previous languages, borders and power structures. And at this point, there was no guarantee that the Normans would win out. For David, his sister marrying Henry I was also convenient. As the youngest of Malcolm and Margaret's sons, he was never likely to inherit the Scottish throne. But now, he could hang about the Norman English court as the brother of the Queen, gradually becoming right-hand man to Henry I. Henry granted David lands in Normandy, Yorkshire and elsewhere. It was Henry that pressured David's elder brother, Alexander I of Scots, to give David swathes of land across Strathclyde and the Scottish borders. Galloway wasn't yet part of Scotland. It was also Henry that granted David marriage to the great niece of William the Conqueror. And that brought him lands in the English Midlands, but more crucially to our story, across Northumbria and here. To secure these lands, David brought knights such as Robert the Bruce, not our warrior king, but the original one, Walter Fitzalan, who was the patriarch of the Stuart line, and here he placed Hugh de Morville, the guy that I mentioned earlier. David was the king who Normanised Scotland, but he did it from a power base in what we would call the borderlands. Now, I said that Henry I marrying a daughter of the previous Saxon royal family gave added legitimacy to his children as successors. But what if your surviving child is a lassie? Henry named his daughter Matilda as his successor, but when he died, he'd need somebody that he could trust to enforce that decision. So if your right-hand man David, who you'd nurtured, supported and granted lands, was not only your wife's brother and by definition your daughter's uncle, but he was also descended from that previous Saxon English line and by a stroke of luck was also now the King of Scots, he was just the guy to secure your daughter's succession rights, and he'd sworn an oath to do so. Surprise, surprise, when Henry I did die, his daughter Matilda needed that powerful uncle because her cousin Stephen jumped on the English throne before you could say scheming Norman usurper. Uncle David was duty bound to head south and enforce his niece's rights that he'd sworn to protect. And if he gained more lands along the way, by the time Stephen came north, David had captured large swathes of the north of England. And so they negotiated a truce. The Treaty of Durham meant that David would go home in return for Carlisle and Cumbria, large parts of Lancashire and the Yorkshire town that we're heading for today. And your niece, David? 2 years later, he must have remembered her because David headed south again, this time even deeper into English territory. And I'm going to take you 50 miles deeper into England to tell you about it. Here, on a busy road just outside Northallerton, cars whiz past this monument, oblivious that it commemorates a battle that doesn't register in the consciousness like Bannockburn or Culloden, but it might be the battle which most defined the structure of the British nations. Now, the reason that Stephen had been so willing to give David lands in the Treaty of Durham was because, having usurped the throne from Matilda, he was dealing with challenges on multiple sides. In Wales, the south of England, and of course, from David here in the north. Now, given that they would call this messy period of English history the anarchy, you can probably see that things for Stephen were a wee bit hairy, and David was going to take advantage of that. Stephen of England was in so much trouble that he couldn't come north himself. It was Archbishop Thurston of York who galvanised forces, telling the people of Yorkshire that this was a holy war. They brought with them the banners and standards of saints and religious houses, and they mounted them on a wheeled cart that went before them. That's why this would become known as the Battle of the Standard. 25 miles north of here, David had crossed the River Tees into Yorkshire. If he wins this battle, he effectively extends Scotland's border to encompass Yorkshire. Let's think about that just for a moment. Obviously, we know that David lost the battle, apparently because of the impetuosity of the Galavidians who insisted on charging from the front, and they weren't even Scottish. They were involved because Fergus of Galloway had married one of Henry I's daughters. Galloway didn't become part of Scotland until 2 generations later, but nobody questions that it's part of Scotland today. What about Yorkshire? Would it have been the same? If David wins, Do Scottish monarchs or their peoples hold that territory for the next 900 years? Would the people of Yorkshire see themselves as Scottish today? Would their accents be different? Maybe even comprehensible? Just imagine if you could actually understand people from Yorkshire. In the historical conflicts between Scotland and England, England had the advantage of a larger population and wealth-generating land rather than the beautiful but rocky and infertile Highlands. If for the last 900 years we'd been able to call on the resources generated by lands down to the Humber, how does that change history? I know it's a speculative question, right? But here's the thing. Alan Shearer would have played football for Scotland. They tell me that Yorkshire contributed more players to England's Euro 2020 Championship team than any other English region. They'd have been ours. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that they'd make it in the current Scotland squad, right? But we would have gained a whole raft of other rugby players to act as solid second string to our rugby team as well. What would a Scotland-England crowd at Murrayfield look like? What would it sound like? Would Murrayfield even be in Edinburgh? Maybe our capitals in Carlisle, Newcastle or Leeds. Maybe even, God forbid, Sheffield. I'll be honest, I've never even been there. We might even have ended up playing cricket. Oh, hi! There are downsides as well, you can. People often comment that they've had DNA tests and they're X% Scottish and Y% English and Z% Scandinavian. But what does that mean if what is Scotland and what is England may have turned on a bunch of Galavidians that were neither 900 years ago? And the people who so confidently quote these figures live on a different continent. Now, I'm not trying to piss in your chips, my Australian, American or Canadian friends. I'm just saying, if the future path of a nation can turn on whether or not Biff Tannen finds a sports almanac and Marty McFly can retrieve it, then surely anything can happen. But it also raises questions about Scottish independence and what that means today. If David I had won the Battle of the Standard, or if a million other tiny turning points in history had been different, then what then? How different are we? And does it really matter? Let's go to the town that this is all about. This is Doncaster. It's where we've been headed all along. They've been worshipping here on the site of the Minster since before David I was born. So they were worshipping here when Doncaster was given to David as part of that Treaty of Durham in 1136. After David lost the Battle of the Standard, there was a second Treaty of Durham. That awarded him even more English lands. But Doncaster wasn't mentioned. In fact, they tell me that there's no record that Doncaster was ever taken back. Does this mean that Doncaster still belongs to Scotland? Are the people walking round about me Scots but they just don't know it? Because I'll be honest, I've spoken to them and they seem just like us. If the English DNA in that test of yours came from a 9 times great granddad in Doncaster, is it really English DNA? If a medieval monarch laid claim to this town, what does it mean in this day and age? And if a land charter's torn up in a forest of paper when there's nobody there, do these people owe me rent? What about when David lost the Battle of the Standard? Did that mean that all treaties were cancelled and no mention of Doncaster makes it English? I don't expect the international viewers to know, care or understand the constitutional issues of these islands. In fact, let's face it, most people across the Atlantic can't tell the difference between Britain, England and the UK in the first place. But this is Scotland History Tours. And the messy constitutional arrangements of the British Isles seem to feed into every political debate in Scotland. And those constitutional arrangements are much less straightforward than the politicians on either side of the debate would make out. For hundreds of years, people have been making treaties, compromise agreements, and short-term political fixes that have had consequences for future generations. And Doncaster here is just one part of that. In 2014, we had an independence referendum in Scotland. And Peter Davis, the mayor of Doncaster, he said that since Doncaster was Scottish, he felt that he should have a vote in that referendum. Now, maybe he was having a lark, I don't know. But maybe we let the people of Doncaster vote. Freedom come all ye. But would it even matter? Since that independence referendum, 2 successive Scottish parliaments have been elected with a mandate to bring forward a second referendum. A duly and democratically elected Scottish Parliament has even voted to hold another referendum. But that democratic expression has been rejected by Conservative Prime Ministers in London. A petition to the London Parliament, possibly frivolous, to debate whether the people of Doncaster could have dual nationality was also rejected out of hand. You see, it doesn't matter if every one of the 100,000 people of Doncaster wanted to be Scottish or not. One man in London says no. Now, I try not to get too caught up in the whole debate between nationalism and unionism, but there's a more important debate between those who want democracy and those who don't. Because those who don't are a dangerous thing, whatever your politics. Boots don't always stay in the same feet. Now, some Raj Bams in the comment section are going to misinterpret what I've said, so let me reiterate. I'm not questioning your political opinion, or for that matter, your right to hold it. But if one guy in London can overrule an elected parliament, it feels like we are back in the 12th century. In the 21st century, DNA and treaties made by medieval kings don't decide the future of Doncaster or the rest of Scotland for that matter. Democracy does. And I don't think that Conservative Prime Minister in London is any more concerned about democracy in this southern outpost than Scotland in general. In that sense, at least, the border doesn't really matter. If you'd like a more light-hearted video about the Scottish-English border, then there's one coming up on screen now. In the meantime, I'm in Dawkins, going to be a lamb allied. Cheery and drastic.